Hi guys! Alright, so it's time for the challenge. I'm really excited. I'm absolutely not prepared, but we're going to go for it anyway. And hey James, good luck buddy, and we'll see how it all comes out. Okay, so here's what we've got so far. I'm going to start with the mausoleum, and all I've really done is just made a box out of foam core. Now foam core, now let's talk about the budget. You can get a big old sheet of foam core for about $2.50. I've had a sheet of foam core for, gosh, well, quite a few months now. This is actually from the same sheet of foam core that I used to build my Tuscan Villa. So it did that, it did this, and I've still got quite a bit left over. So the only special thing about this is that the corners are rabbited. You'll see it kind of helps blend the corners in. Let's get you in a little closer there. And all that is right here where this one butts in. If you can see that, I've cut away the back part and the foam a little bit so that we've made a joint where just the front card part sticks over here and this butts into it. And it's called rabbiting. And if you don't know how to do that, you can either check out my Tuscan Villa series. I go over that in that. Or when I'm done with this challenge in the week, since I've only got a week to do this, I'm going to go kind of quick. But when I'm done, if you have any questions or would like me to put up any vids on any of the techniques that you've seen, just drop me a comment or a PM, and I will be more than happy to do that when I'm done with the challenge this week. So now what I'm going to do, I was originally going to do this mausoleum out of the pink foam because I was going to make it granite and kind of chunk it up and make it look old and cruddy and, you know, beat up. I was in the dollar store today and I changed my mind because I found this stuff. This is just shelf liner. Okay, it's made to put on your shelves so that your plates and cups and stuff don't slide around on the wood. But this has a really funky texture to it. Looks kind of like spider webs, cobwebs and stuff. So what I decided to do is to actually wrap the mausoleum in this stuff and then paint it all over it so that it has a really funky texture on it. So I'm going to do that. Now the roof I'm actually still going to do out of the foam, and we'll do that like a granite. I'm going to have the front here is going to have some columns around the door, and then some steps and a little porch, and this is going to be like granite. Now these columns came out of a Hearst Arts mold. I know those are rather expensive, so I'm using those because I don't feel like casting more stuff right now, and I had a bunch of these sitting in a bag. If you don't have Hearst Arts molds though, you could use something like this to make columns. Since you only need half a column, this is just, you know, the form-fitting packaging off of something. I don't know what it was even, but it was something I got out of the dollar store. So if you go to the dollar store, don't just look at the stuff you want, but look at the packaging on things you might not want, because the packaging may be worth more than $1 to you. But if you could see, if I poured some plaster in the bottom of these, it'd be nice rounded half columns. So you can use something like that. And this really, I would consider this free, because what I bought was the stuff in it, but I kept the packaging, so I've got a free mold here. The plaster, I'm actually using Ultra Cal 30 here, which is not technically a plaster, it's a gypsum cement because it's harder, but plaster Paris would work fine for this because there's not that much of it on this structure. Plaster Paris would be just fine, and that stuff is really cheap. In fact, Ultra Cal 30 is really cheap. I got 50 pounds of it for $20, so it's still not very expensive, but plaster Paris you can buy in smaller quantities and still stay under your $10 budget. And if you happen to have plaster of Paris, then that doesn't count towards your budget anyway. So, and while we're talking about budget, My idea is I'm not going to budget in tools that I already have. Like I'm going to end up using a hot wire cutter, which is of course more than $10. You know, I'm using knives, I'm using paint, I'm using, you know, and I keep it really cheap, but I'm not going to count that in the budget because just the tools will end up costing you way more than $10. I'm going to assume that you're going to have most of the tools you need because you're building minis anyway. However, I do try to keep it cheap. This knife, got it at the dollar store, and I got 3 of them in a package for $1. So the knife, this blade, cost me 33 cents. Doing it that way is actually cheaper than buying just a replacement blade for a good knife. And yeah, it's a cheap knife, but for 33 cents, I don't care if it only lasts a month or two. Just go to the dollar store and pick up 3 more of them. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing and start building the mausoleum a little bit, and we'll come back and see how things are coming out. Alright guys, so let's take a look at what we've got so far. What I decided to do is I was going to make kind of a hilltop cemetery. So I cut this base out and made it kind of pretty steep. Cut some stairs into it. And that's going to be the base. I've got a decent bit of the mausoleum done. Basically, I mean, you saw the box. I've wrapped this stuff around it. We'll see how it looks when it gets painted up. It looks a little weird right now, but when we paint it up and I put some more stuff on the outside of it, I think it'll look pretty good. One issue with this is that I found is when I glue it down, and I just took put some white glue on there and spread it around with the brush and just press this stuff into it. I just needed enough to get this tacky because the paint will help hold it down. But if you don't stretch it real tight, it starts coming up a little bit. So you got to get, and the corners aren't too smooth. So a little bit of an issue, but that's all right. I'll work around that and decorate over those parts. Just did 3/4 inch foam for the roof, cut some 45s around, and then put some just a little bit of aging in it, cracks and things coming out, chunks coming out of it. Just glued a piece of foam here and cut some steps into it on the front. Did the same thing, cracks and stuff. Now the door, what I did was I just cut a piece out of here. I decided where the columns were going to be and cut just a square piece of the foam core out. And I put some balsa wood strips to line the inside, and then I put that piece of foam core back in. I could set it on top of the balsa wood strips because that was enough frame to put it on. So then what I'm going to do is decorate this door up, and then when it all gets painted, it'll look pretty good, I think. So anyway, that's where we're at for today. So I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow, and we'll see where we get then. Bye. Hey guys, alright, so it's time